The learning pyramid has several different names such as learning cone, pyramid of retention, cone of learning, pyramid of learning, and even the cone of experience. It was the first time, or rather, the first time this concept appeared was in 1954. It appeared in a book called The Audiovisual Methods in Teaching. It expounded on a model that was first developed by the National Training Laboratories in Bethel, Maine. The learning pyramid describes varying teaching and learning methodologies and the retention rates of information that are associated with each of those methodologies. For instance, if a teacher uses only a lecture method of instruction, their students will retain only 5% of that information. Of course, the best option is to always combine several methodologies to increase the retention rates. The best option for instructors and mentors alike is to use those methodologies that fall within the active learning spectrum or participating learning. These methods are those that are going to require more application and hands-on activities. So you may notice that these activities or those active learning methodologies are demonstration, discussion, practice, and teaching another person. Note that these types of teaching methodologies will also result in a higher rate of retention and also develop higher critical thinking skills. Lecture is the most ineffective learning method. Why? Because simply the student attends and sits back passive, very passive. The information is given but not being required to show any digestion of the knowledge or application. On the other side, recall that auditory learners, look at that VAC learning style, they prefer this method. Also, it's a very effective way to get a lot of information to students quickly. In 1992, Neil Fleming, with the aid of Colleen Mills, added the R to this model. They inserted reading and writing. Despite this addition to their learning theory, reading still remains as the most ineffective, just under lecture, and also a very low rate of retention at only 10%. This retention rate may be higher if the learner processes visual learning or has a visual learning preference. Also, there are reading strategies that will aid in information retention, such as annotated reading. In a world of screens, this method has increased exponentially since 1954 when the learning pyramid was first designed. Individuals are consistently bombarded with audiovisual learning opportunities, social media, YouTube, online learning, even more. This is an area that simply keeps growing and developing. The essential element for an instructor who uses this medium is to also include an active learning option as well. Demonstration is simply when the instructor provides observers or a student with a task to watch. This option is the first in the active learning methodologies mentioned in the learning pyramid. This is also the first step in the methodologies used in apprenticeship and on-the-job training, OJT. See one, do one, and teach one. Demonstration is especially effective when learning confusing practices or in a procedural situation. For instance, can you imagine teaching driver's education without demonstration? Cooperative learning. That's actually the formal term for discussion groups. It's basically breaking up a large group of people into smaller groups for greater learning opportunities. This is going to promote higher learning. As noted on the learning pyramid, it also brings greater retention and develops higher critical thinking skills. Discussions will stimulate thinking and promote engagement. Practice is a hands-on approach to learning. It is vital and extremely valuable methodology to put new information into practical application. By using practice, individuals are able to develop higher critical thinking skills and learn the knowledge in greater depth, therefore increasing those retention rates. Lastly, teaching another person. This is the highest form of retention on the learning pyramid. It also is the pinnacle of the see one, do one, and teach one model. To teach a concept to another, an individual has to have a mastery of a topic, including the general concept and supporting details. This type of teaching leads to the greatest retention rates at a full 90%. The greatest criticism of the pyramid of learning is that the original data was lost. Therefore, there are no records of research to support the validity or to be able to repeat the test, to be able to test the quality of the data. Questions have arisen about the sampling, the parameters, and even the data validity. Whether or not the data or the retention rates have correct values is not as important as recognizing how this information can be used in teaching, instruction, and training. Focus on those instructional strategies that reinforce active learning. Use multiple methods. For instance, if you have to get a lot of information to individuals quickly, the lecture may be the best option. But if it is combined with discussion group later, the retention rates will soar. The learning pyramid clearly and visually demonstrates the best methodologies for learning and retention. Recall that as you develop instructional strategies, that you utilize more active learning activities to actively engage your learners.